Hey, Happy New Year. What's good? So we're gonna talk about the Mercury retrograde that we are currently in. This is my second attempt. So we're just gonna have to no face, I guess. Y'all don't need to see me. What I don't care about that. I was just trying to help y'all out. But whatever, you don't need to see me. So pretty much this image is showing Mars in retrograde. So I want to be very, very clear that Mars is not currently in retrograde, but this image is to talk about what a retrograde actually looks like, right? So you see the sun in the center, and the blue letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G is Earth. So Earth, as Earth moves from A all the way to G, the north side of Earth is going to be at the top of that white line, in a sense, okay? And so as it moves, it's going to stay in that orientation. And so at D, north is going to be to the left, and then at G, north is going to be down, right? It's going to keep going and keep going around the sun, right? Or something of that nature, right? So at A, west is to the left, and at G, west is to the right. Okay, so do you see Mars? And in this instance, we're going to imagine that's Mercury, right? So Mercury is moving around the sun as well. Mercury's on the other side of Earth, right? Mercury's revolution takes 88 days, meaning that every single year, Mercury will go retrograde at least 3 times. Every retrograde phase, Mercury is lapping Earth. So when I say lapping, anybody who's in sports, specifically track, this is to talk about you have a race where you have to complete more than one lap to finish. I have seen people be lapped in the 800 meters. That's when you have like super fast sprinters that probably go off to the Olympics with like babies or elderly people, right? Who are taking a very, very long time to get that first lap done. So they get lapped on the 800 meters, 2 laps. Usually it's going to be for a longer race, like a 1600 meters. Sometimes you see it if somebody's really, really fast, but probably more for like a 3K or something longer, right? So what that means is, let's say you have 10 laps to complete, okay? So person 1 is the faster one. So they're so much faster than person 2 that, okay, so they complete lap 1, okay? But person 1 is like halfway around the track when person 2 is all the way at the back, okay? So by that pace, by the time person 2 completes their first lap, person 1 has completed 2 whole laps. So they're both at the start line together, but person 1 is working on their 3rd lap, and person 2 is working on their 2nd lap. So a lot of people, Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. So a lot of people like to view Virgos and Geminis as Coco crazy. No, they're literally just eons ahead of us. They're eons ahead of us. And I love Virgos and Geminis for this reason exactly. This DJ said on TikTok, correction is perfection. If you claim to desire to be perfect or to be the best version of yourself, you will appreciate and seek out the level of information and wisdom and insight that Geminis and Mercuries possess and bring to the world. You're not going to criticize them and shoot them down. Just because a Gemini is saying something that's totally off the wall and you've never heard of it before and nobody else is agreeing with them does not mean they are wrong. You feel me? So yes, this is definitely a Gemini stan account, and this is a Virgo stan account, but Virgo support group. This is not. No, we don't hate on the children of Mercury. Okay. If I had to give the planets pronouns, Mercury would be they, them. Very eclectic. Mercury is known to rule transportation. Mercury is known to rule. What else does Mercury rule? Communication, transportation, information, things of that nature. That's what they tell you during a Mercury retrograde. You don't really want to sign a lease. You don't really want to plan trips or go on trips because you could see lots of delays and things of that nature. If you have to sign contracts in whatever, just double check it, triple check it, quadruple check it. All the fine print that you normally don't look over, you probably will want to look over it. And then be prepared for things not to go as planned. Be prepared for things to not be as it seems or not be what you agree to. It's not necessarily going to be the end of the world, but you might be very inconvenienced. Make sure you have some wiggle room in your traveling, because you don't want to be stranded and miss your wedding and things of that nature. I've been hearing people already with these cancellations with the weather, and they're missing their own wedding. You don't want to plan your trip the day before you have to be somewhere. Because what if that one doesn't make it? Then you want to be able to get on the next one the next day. Okay. And so we're looking at Mercury is going to retrograde. The total dates are going to be from December 12th all the way up until February 7th. Why? We have a shadow phase. What that means is that Mercury travels in direct motion. Mercury travels in direct motion. Mercury never changes direction. Mercury never changes direction. All of the planets move in the same direction around the sun. Mercury just moves faster. This is scientifically proven. You can look this up. You can grab a telescope and double check me. Ask a scientist who hates astrology and thinks we're all going to hell, and he will literally tell you, he or she will literally tell you, Mercury moves faster than Earth. That's scientifically proven. Okay. So Mercury is lapping us during the retrograde phase. Mercury is moving around the sun. Earth is moving around the sun. So when Mercury gets to 8 degrees Capricorn, we're talking about the sign of Capricorn, so it's heavy energy right now. When Mercury gets to 8 degrees, 8 minutes, the sign of Capricorn, you got a little bit of numerology there. That would have been on December 12th when Mercury first entered those degrees. So Mercury is going to go up in degrees like a normal all the way to 24 degrees, 21 minutes. We would have seen that on December 29th, 3:32 a.m. Mercury would have been at 24 degrees, 21 minutes. My apologies if I'm off by the minutes. They're not that serious, but I think it's important that you're aware that there are degrees and minutes and seconds, okay? And so it's 24 degrees, 21 minutes. But I checked it on my FME. It's not just, yeah. So it should be accurate. 24 degrees, 21 minutes. So this is going to be the stationary place. So the signs that are going to be hit the heaviest, like I said, are going to be Gemini and Virgo. When I say signs, I'm not just talking about your sun sign. I'm also not talking about your entire natal chart. So the outer planets like Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they're slow moving. They're going to stay there for 30 years. So everybody in your entire generation has the same Pluto sign. Everybody within a 30-year time span has the same Saturn sign. You talking about your Saturn return every 29, 30 years. Everybody has the same Saturn sign. So if you have Gemini or Virgo, I don't think that's really possible for those signs, but if you do have them, they're not going to be that significant. So I'm saying this because it could maybe be for like if we have a Mercury retrograde in Pluto, or if we have a Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, there's people alive that have those outer planet placements. That's not going to be significant for you. It's not really going to hit you hard. It's outermost planet. It's not really affecting your personality, your mentee, or your psyche. Okay. The inner planets, we talk about Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, maybe your north or south nodes and things of that nature. If you have a house where you have a lot of planets, even if it's not the sign of Capricorn, that could also be a big impact. So these are the people that are going to be hit the heaviest, but everyone's going to see effects. Those are the people where you might have noticed before December 29th. Like it might have been December 10th and you're already like noticing effects, right? Especially if you have a Gemini or a Virgo stellium, or that could also be a 6th house or 3rd house stellium, okay? And so around the December 29th, that's when things go to a stationary phase. Meaning that whenever you are traveling, imagine you're in a car, right? I think all of us have been in some type of moving vehicle. So you're in a car, you're zooming down the freeway, the things out your window are passing by fast, okay? And so as you exit the freeway, you're getting close to your destination, you get to the stoplight, now you have to stop. Guess what happens? You slow down. There's no possible way to go from 60 miles per hour to completely stationary immediately. That doesn't happen in the human world. You have to have a slow down phase. And so as we're approaching December 29th in astrology, we kind of believe strongly in the 3-day phase. So about December 26th, you would have felt the energy of Mercury slowing down. Mercury is about to start moving backwards from our perspective on Earth. That's what they tell you. If you're in alignment, if you're elevating, you're not going to really feel the wonkiness of these retrograde seasons as strongly because you're already in alignment. The energy of Mercury is moving the same no matter what. It's just traveling to Earth in a little bit different manner. And so if you're out of alignment with the greater scheme of life, then that's when you start to notice shifts in energies and complications, okay? So you do want to have that elevation, but for right now, there's no shame, there's no judgment. If you're not in alignment, we got to deal with this. So I'm going to get to that in a minute. But as December 26th, that's when you start to notice things start to go bonkers, right? And so for the people who it's hitting heaviest, it could have been, all the way back as far as like the beginning of December, but especially heavy around December 20th, 26th, things of that nature, around Christmas time, okay? The actual stationary phase is December 29th, meaning on December 29th, Mercury would appear to be stationary in our sky from Earth's perspective, okay? And then in order to move backwards, you have to stop, right? So in our analogy, we're in the car, we're going down the freeway, and then Fast and Furious, you can't just go backwards. You have to stop and then go backwards. So we're going to slow down. We're going to stop on December 29th, 3:32 a.m. We're actually going to start moving backwards. Are we going to instantaneously speed back up to our regular speed? No, we're going to have a speeding up phase. Okay. And so in this analogy, the stuff in your window is going fast. It's going fast, going fast, going fast. It's zooming by, zooming by, zooming by. Okay. So now that you're stopped at the stoplight, you're sitting in one place for a very long time. So Mercury at 24 degrees, 21 minutes is sitting in one place for a very long time. If you look at the ephemeris and if you track the degrees, it would have been at 24 degrees for like a couple of days. And either 23, 24 degrees. Usually it moves the degrees faster. So we're used to Mercury's energy keep moving, but now we have Mercury energy stronger at one particular place. So what you're going to want to do, or you can pay a professional like myself to look at your specific natal chart to see where is 24 degrees Capricorn. That's where Mercury was stationary on December 29th. Okay. And so we can look at the house. We can look at different aspects. So you would want to look at other planets that might be about 23 to 28 degrees Capricorn, all the way up until about 5 to 10 or 12 approximately, right? The closer you are to 24 and 8, the stronger that aspect is going to be. But okay, the closer you are to something between 8 to 24, the stronger that aspect will be. But you can go up. They say it's like a 5-degree difference for aspects. I guess it would go 5 either way, but I always just picture 2.5. But it might be 5 either way. So you make the decision on how big of an impact you think that is. You can pay for a professional, and then I will actually spend more time into the specifics. Okay, but we're looking at any placement that's 24 degrees. So that could be 24 degrees Libra. It's not even earth sign. It's not even water sign to where it's a trine. But 24 degrees Libra, that means your planet that's placed at 24 degrees Libra is square to this retrograde. Okay, so these are the kinds of things that I'm talking about, right? So speaking of different earth signs, so I said Geminis and Capricorns, Virgos, you're going to be hit the heaviest. So we talked about the planets. Let's talk about the signs that are going to be hit the heaviest. So Virgo and Gemini, probably for this one, Capricorn will be the heaviest. So if you have major Capricorn placements, that's Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, North Node, South Node, those are going to hit you the heaviest. After that, it's going to be Virgo and Gemini. That's your planetary ruler. So whatever Mercury is doing, you're strongly affected by it. After that, we're looking at all of the earth signs, right? You're going to be trine to Capricorn. So if you have planets, major inner planets in earth signs, that's going to be Taurus and Virgo. You're going to see some strength to this retrograde phase as well. After that, water signs, you might see a strong little impact. It's a sextile aspect, right? And then, of course, we're looking at opposites and squares. So that would be Aries, Libra, and Cancer would be opposites and squares. So those are kind of the aspects that are going to be strongest. Trine, sextiles, I don't remember the word, but those are more beneficial. They're known to be like what we would call good, to where they're in support of this energy. And then when you have oppositions and squares, those are more harmful. They are working against your retrograde period. Now, here's the thing about squares and opposites. They are a stressful energy, but they can be beneficial. What that means is, if you have a square, picture actually a square or a corner of a house, right? The walls are working in opposite direction, but guess what? They are forming a barrier. They're working together to create stability for your home. And so when you have Capricorn and then you have Aries, they are working in opposite directions. Aries works and expresses energy in one way. Capricorn works and expresses energy in a totally different, contradictory, conflicting way. Now, that's the difficulty. Is it's stressful because you can't just exist as you normally would want to exist. You have to kind of compromise and see it through. But if you can manage to find a common ground with that square, now you're not only taking care of your directional path, but now you're even covering the ground of Aries' directional path. Once we decide to go ahead and line up in that perfect corner, we've got all bases covered. We got north, south, and east and west. You see what I'm saying? So it's very difficult at first, but if you can really master those energies, you can really master that combination of energies, you can see greatness. You feel me? Like, that's the potential of a square. Oppositions are the same, but not as much potential for diversity in skills. It's just, I'm looking at north and you're looking at south. So now you got my back, I got your back. You feel me? Trines and sextiles can kind of be the opposite. So we already know the beneficial side. Malevolent. That's the word I'm looking for. And there's another one. But, anyways, and so trines, those are when you're within the same element. So you understand this energy. It's very familiar. It's very easy to work with. Well, the thing with that is you can get lazy, you can get complacent, and you cannot be reaching your full potential because you're just like comfortable. You're not actually putting forth the effort. There's nothing to make you get a pep to your step. There's nothing to make you step out on a whim. There's nothing to make you step out on faith, right? So you're just comfortable. So that's the downside to having a trine. Sextile is similar. You can kind of be so similar that you just start to bump heads, right? Like, you get this person, but it's frustrating because they're not you all the way. And then they can also be, you're just fueling their fire. Like, you love their toxic traits. And so you're just validating each other in toxicity, validating each other in your mistakes. And so that's the downside of trines and sextiles. So there's pros and cons. You get to choose. Watch out for the cons. Take advantage of the pros. Okay, so we're dealing with those energies, those placements, those signs. Okay, these are the degrees. So we're talking about December 12th was the beginning of the pre-shadow phase. The pre-shadow phase ended on December 29th, a few days ago. That is when we first entered into Mercury retrograde. That's when Mercury was moving in a retrograde motion. We're in Central Standard Time at 3:32 a.m. That's when it would have been exact according to my ephemeris. If it's wrong, blame Cafe Astrology. Okay, and so pretty much we should have gotten past that little hump of 29 degrees. We're on the 1st, so we still haven't gotten all the way past that 3 days. We're on the 3rd day, but Mercury should be speeding up a bit, so it should get better. But also, that's when things get into the thickness of what is the purpose of this season. This is not just a time where the universe just leaves us to struggle. This is actually a lesson and a learning period. That's how I view it, right? So the pre-shadow phase is like a preview, okay? You're previewing what energies are we going to go over. So Mercury goes from 8 degrees to 24 degrees. So Mercury is covering the degrees it's about to go retrograde in, but it's direct right now. It's direct right now, so we don't necessarily notice a difference. But if you're really in tune, and if you really take notes, and if you really pay attention, and even if you look back at your journals or your conversations, your texts, your social media posts, you can start to see different aspects that you might have noticed are a little bit different, or they're gonna be small because it's just a pre-shadow. It's just a shadow. So all you saw was a shadow. All we saw was a shadow, a glimmer, a foreshadowing of what's going to happen. That's like when you watch a movie and they're like foreshadowing something, and then the movie starts getting into the, the heat of things, and then you're like, oh, that's why that happened. Right? And then when you watch back the movie, you can see things that you didn't notice at first. That's kind of what it is. So it's there's signs there, but you might not see the signs. And it's okay. You just take whatever you have, whatever you see, whatever you're aware of, and that's what we're moving towards, okay? But that's what the pre-shadow phase is. That's your foreshadowing, okay? And then when we get to the retrograde phase, it's a so we're dealing with all of these rewords. So we're talking about redoing, we're talking about revealing, we're talking about reassessing, reminding, reevaluating, relearning, recovering, lots of different rewords. All of those can be, implemented here. When we're talking about being in Capricorn, we're talking about rebuilding, reusing, those kinds of things, okay? So that's kind of the energy that we want to enter to Mercury retrogrades for. It's a time to learn something new. We've been existing in one way. Mercury is known as a prankster, so Mercury's going to shake things up, but it's not just for no reason. It's so you can kind of like loosen up a little bit, go with the flow, like stop being so strict to your schedule. It's not perfect anyways. Here's a better way of existence. So like it's really like we're getting shaken up back into alignment, even if we've been fighting it, okay? And so once we get to 24 degrees, Mercury starts moving backwards all the way to 8 degrees. So we're going to be moving in retrograde motion up until January 18th. So we got a couple weeks, okay? January 18th, 7:12 a.m., Mercury will station back direct. So again, when you're moving backwards and you want to start moving forward, you have to slow down. That slow down phase is when things get heavy, things get sticky. And then you're going to stop and just sit at 8 degrees Capricorn. And then on the 18th at 7:12 a.m., it's going to keep going. So when I say 3 days out, you'll start to feel it and it'll get thick. Well, the closer you get to December 29th and January 18th, the heavier it gets and the more people notice. That's when like people who don't even believe in astrology be like, what's going on? What's going on? And then they'll start going to people who believe in astrology. Is it a full moon? Is it is Mercury in Gatorade? Because they're starting to feel the effects, and that's probably going to be around like the 31st or the 28th or the 17th or the 19th, right? That's when like everybody on earth can start to feel it. They're like, things are really weird. Like, I'm really stressed out lately, right? They'll be saying things of that nature. And then knowing Mercury is stationing, you're going to be like, yes, I get it, right? And so then from January 18th, we're going to the post-shadow phase. That means Mercury went backwards to 8 degrees, but now Mercury is moving forwards, so it's covering these same degrees for the third time. Okay, so this is how I read into it, okay? The pre-shadow phase is your introduction. That's like your, hey, this is where we're about to go. So like if you're enrolling in your courses, this is like, hey, this is what course you're going to enroll in based on your degree plan. This is where you need to go. You're going to learn about this. It's like that little blurb. Maybe it's your syllabus. Maybe it's the course calendar or the, something of that nature. So you got a preview, okay? And then the retrograde phase, that's where you actually sit in class and you get the lecture. You take your notes, you do your projects. Well, maybe not your projects. You take your notes, you get your lessons, you do your activities, you ask your questions. You can ask questions. I don't care what them Christian people tell you. Questioning the Most High, questioning spirituality, questioning religion, questioning your lessons, questioning is a sign of intelligence. Like, that's the truth. Questioning is a sign of intelligence. Questioning is how you learn. Questioning is how you gain information. Questioning is how you gain clarity on things that you are not clear on. Please question. You can question me. I do charge. That's just a boundary. I know people don't really like spiritual service being charged, but like, okay, back in the gap, I might not charge you for my spiritual services, but like, I would not have to buy groceries. I would not have to do anything. Like, people would take care of their spiritual leaders. So if that's how y'all want to go, I don't have to charge you, but you're going to have to bring me something. You feel me? I'm not, gung-ho on capitalism. I do work the capitalism system. You feel me? That's what we in. But I'm kind of like 50-50. Not 50-50. I'm kind of like in and out. So I'm a socialist, I'm a capitalist, and I also believe in barter and trade. So, we can exchange services. If you're going to take care of me, I'm going to take care of you, and that's just on period, okay? But I can't just give of myself, give, and take time out of my day when I got bills to pay. Like, you feel me? Okay. And so, I'm not trying to make this a whole advertisement. But yes, so basically that's where you get your lessons, and that's where you're supposed to question, take notes, pay attention, seek assistance, seek clarity, things of that nature. And then January 18th, when Mercury goes direct, that's not the time to just be like, oh, breathe a sigh of relief and forget everything that happened. No, that's the time. That's your test. That's your test. You really just sat through all of this school. You really just got things in a different way. Like, we was giving you lessons all along, but you wasn't getting it. So now we let Mercury show it to you in a different way, and you still ain't getting it. So either you're going to pass your test and you be better for the next time, or you're going to fail your test. And it's going to be tough again, or tougher, right? And so you got the foreshadowing, you got the lesson, and then you have the test. That's going to be from January 18th all the way till February 7th, okay? So here's some things to look forward to. I'm almost done. Here's some things to look forward to that I'm going to, summarize everything I just said, because I'm talking a little bit fast, but I'm kind of irritated because I really did this for a second time. Okay, so I want to talk about some cautions, and I want to end on successes. That's just how I am. So some cautions, we're talking about Mercury retrograding through the sign of Capricorn. Okay, so Mercury is the planet. Capricorn is the sign or the constellation that Mercury is in. You can talk about sidereal. It could be in the sidereal constellation of Sagittarius. If we're talking about 24 degrees, it's going to be both. 8 degrees Capricorn is definitely sidereal Sagittarius. So we're talking about both if you want to do that conversion and everything. But Capricorn is a sign of ambition. Capricorn house is the 10th house when you talk about career and social status and your reputation. So Capricorn is really focused on accolades. Capricorn is really focused on their goals and dreams, right? And so on the high elevation side of Capricorn, so a little bit we're talking about successes, you have the potential to see your dreams come to pass. You have the potential to, really grind and put forth all of this work and effort and discipline into making things. It's a cardinal energy into making things as you want them to be. You have this potential to manifest, right? But on the downside, you have all of these desires for all of these great things. So if you're not seeing it manifest, Capricorn can easily fall into depression. So that's a very, very strong thing to look out for. I've already kind of had to talk to people through suicide during this time period. So be very, very careful with that. Check on your strong friends. Check on your weak friends. Check on your quiet friends. Check on your friends that you don't really care about that much. But anybody that you care about, check on them. And with Capricorns, they do not express their emotions. So they're going to tell you they're fine. Check on them 2-3 times. Send them some love anyways, even though they're telling you they're okay. I promise you it's necessary, okay? So check on your friends. Be very, very intentional. Be very, very genuine with it. And don't just take their word, as truth. Really push through. Ask 2 or 3 times to make sure you sure, you good. I'm here for you. Offer support, because a Capricorn, a lot of times, even though they're telling you they're fine, they don't need your help, they don't want to accept your help, they will greatly appreciate you offering, right? They're the type of people where, they're over here and down in the dumps and depressed and ignoring their phone calls, but they're taking mental note of everybody that keeps calling them. And so, no, they did not pick up the phone or text you, but thanks for calling, thanks for checking up on me. But they saw you call 5 times. They saw you text it, hey, thinking of you, love you. And now they have a greater love for you. In their midst of darkness, they can see your light. And that's what Capricorn needs. So that's the kind of energy and support we need during this retrograde phase. Because this retrograde, I guess, is probably going to be revealing to a lot of people areas of goals that they've forgotten about. Areas of visions that they're, slacking on. Areas you're being lazy. Areas you're falling short. Areas you're not putting forth the effort. Areas you're lacking in discipline. So that's kind of what we can expect to be revealed. Whatever Capricorn is not satisfied with, Mercury is going to just hey, remember this? You feel me? And so it can be very daunting to be like, wow, like I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that and I'm not doing this. But the proper response is not to fall into depression. The proper response is not to fall into believing that you're a failure. The proper response is to take charge of this new energy, and it's a new year. So you have the opportunity to go ahead and make that switch. Oh, what was I not doing? Let me go ahead and do it. Oh, you know what? I did say I was going to do that. Let me make plans to do it. But keep in mind, now is not the time to do it. Now is the time to take notes and make plans. Okay? After the post shadow phase is probably when you want to do it, but after the station direct is probably also a good time to do it. Okay? And so, whatever things are coming to you, whatever pressures are on you, whatever is stressing you and kind of sending you to that dark place, really pay attention, because it's probably not trying to send you to a dark place. It's probably trying to send you to a part of your soul that you neglected, something that you forsaken, something that you forgot you had within you. Right? So don't give up on yourself, right? And so when you're wanting to be productive, when you're feeling this ambitious energy, one thing to really remember is one step at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day. And so when you have all of these grandiose plans and all of these broad goals, remember that you have to take step one before you can take step two. You can't make $1 million until you make $100. Okay, so keep in mind, set your goals accordingly, celebrate the small milestones. Sometimes your win for the day might just be brushing your teeth. Sometimes your win for the day might just be eating breakfast. Celebrate that. Celebrate that. Sometimes your win for the day might be on a little Tetris game. I mean, you can't win Tetris, huh? Sometimes your win, that's probably a bad game to play if you're depressed, because you're gonna lose at some point. Don't play Tetris if you're depressed. If it makes you happy, see, don't listen to me that strongly. That's the number one thing. Don't listen to nobody too strongly. Don't take nobody's advice too strongly. Because if Tetris makes you happy, then Tetris makes you happy. Maybe you're really happy about a new score. Maybe it just, you got to move things around, and using your brain helps you like get out of the dump, right? Do whatever makes you happy, you feel me? But be mindful that if that failure is going to like trigger you, you know who you are, right? Sometimes your win is texting somebody back. Sometimes your win is drinking water. Sometimes your win is praying, going to church. Whatever is going to make you feel like you're moving towards progress, do that. Okay, if it's one thing a day, do that. Because guess what? If you did 0 things yesterday towards progress and you did 1 thing today towards progress, you're making progress. Okay, and then maybe the next day you can do 2 things, and then maybe 3 things, and then you probably fall back to 1. Maybe you fall back to 0, and then the next day you go back to 1, 2, 3. Do you see what I'm saying? Let yourself go with the waves. You're a human, you're not a robot. That's another thing to be careful on with Capricorn. We are humans, we are not robots. We have emotions, we have to deal with them, we have to tend to them. We can schedule times to deal with our emotions, but please schedule times to deal with your emotions. Don't let it go on past a week, okay? And so, in the sign of Capricorn, here's some things that I took a note on that you want to really open yourself up to. Allow yourself to see new ways for you to reach your goals. So, for those of us who already have our goals, for those of us who made our vision boards, I did not make my vision board. It's in my head, but I need to like actually make it physically, right? So, for those of us who have, specific goals, for those of us who have, I wrote it down, right? For those of us who have our vision boards, for those of us who know what we want to do, allow yourself to see new goals. Allow yourself to see new pathways. Okay? Allow yourself to get to know yourself better, to know what you want to accomplish in this life, know how you want to brand yourself, know what type of reputation you want to hold in this world. Allow new ways of existence, allow new social norms to, be desired for you. Allow you to want new things to be normalized. Allow new systems to be created, and allow you to have ideas of new systems, right? These are the things we're looking for. Things of a Capricorn nature that are going to be new and fresh revealed to us. Like, it's a different perspective. The energy of Mercury is literally coming to Earth in a different way. It's backwards. For any of you who have a natal Mercury, these are probably the only times where you feel like you're thinking straight. Or if you have, Mercury retrograde natal. Yeah, so that's your thought process. I had to double check myself. because even if you have like a Mars in Mercury, that says nothing about retrograde Mercury. Yeah. So if you have Mercury retrograde natal, then these are the times where this might be the only time you're thinking straight. So as far as like signing a lease, this might be the best time for you to sign a lease. As far as purchasing a car, financing, getting into a contract, this might be the best time for you to do those things, because your brain is now back to the energy of, your natal chart. And so your energy works best with these times, and this is your time to go, go, go. So for the next retrograde, you want to go ahead and plan, and you're kind of backwards. Like the rest of the time is mostly for your planning, and this is your best time to act, right? Of course, you don't want to wait until these 3-week periods, 3 or 4 times a year, to do what you have to do, right? But you do want to take advantage. So if it's something big, you probably will want to enact it during these periods. So that's for my natal Mercury in retrograde, folks. So to recap, we're looking at Mercury retrograde from December 12th to February 7th. The pre-shadows from December 12th to December 29th. That is your foreshadowing of the lessons you're about to learn in this new energy approaching Earth. Mercury stationed in the past retrograde on December 29th. It was 3:32 a.m. Central Standard Time. And then, but right before the station, you're going to have a slowdown and a heavier energy approaching. And then we're going to move retrograde all the way until January 18th, 7:12 a.m. On January 18th, it's going to be another stationary phase 3 days before and 3 days after, where you're going to see heavier energies. And then from January 18th to February 7th, we're going to see the post-shadow phase, which is really the test. What did you learn during this new time phase? Okay. And so the signs that are going to be hit the heaviest, we're looking at Capricorn, we're looking at Gemini, we're looking at Virgo. Those are the top 3. Mercury is retrograding through the sign of Capricorn from 8 degrees 8 minutes, check your numerology, all the way up until 24 degrees 21 minutes. Okay, so that means December 12th was from 8 degrees 8 minutes to December 29th, 24 degrees 21 minutes. So right now we start at 24 degrees and we're moving backwards to 8 minutes on January 18th. January 18th, we're going back for the 3rd time on your test. January 18th is 8 degrees. February 7th, we're back at 24 degrees. Then we can keep it pushing to go to new degrees that we haven't seen before. Okay, remember, the planets never change trajectory. We're always moving around the sun. Mercury is just faster than Earth, so Earth gets lapped frequently. It's 3 times 1 year and then 4 times the next year. So that's normal for Mercury to go in retrograde 4 times in 1 year. Mercury is moving that fast around the sun. Mercury literally travels around the sun 3 times before Earth gets around 1. So that should tell you something about Geminis. Okay. Other signs that can see a heavy effect, we're looking at the other earth signs, Taurus and Virgo. We're looking at other placements other than just Mercury. We're looking at Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, inner planets, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They're going to be outer. They're more for like a generational kind of deal. We don't really want to consider them for this. That's for this retrograde. That's for other retrogrades, as well as those inner planets. We're looking at houses as well. A really big thing to look at for these retrograde periods is to see where is 8 degrees to 24 degrees Capricorn in your chart. Everybody has Capricorn in your charts. It does not matter if you don't have a planet placement there. That's somewhere in your house. Okay, so you can see what areas of life this retrograde is revolving around, what areas of life is this retrograde shifting for you. Okay, if you need help, I can help you. Let's see. And so we're also looking at Taurus, Virgo, and perhaps water signs. We're looking at aspects, any placement from 8 to 24 degrees. We're looking at redoing, revealing, reassessing, reminding, reevaluating, relearning, recovering, rebuilding, relearning, re. Okay, be careful about depression and suicidal thoughts. Check on your friends and allow yourself to change perspective on something of a Capricornian or a Saturnian nature. Maybe it's your relationship. Maybe you're married, and that could be what, this retrograde is letting you see. So anyways, my name is Tamibia Oladawe. Thank you for checking me out. I hope you have a wonderful retrograde season and a fabulous new year.